Good morning. Good morning. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Thank you so much. And welcome to our annual Memorial Day breakfast, sponsored by the Friends of Franklin Elders. Thank you for joining us today to honor our deceased veterans and their families, and to reflect upon the sacrifices our veterans have made for us to defend our freedoms. I wish to remind our veterans that they may render the hand salute during the passing of the colors and the national anthem. It is proper to place your hand over your heart during the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the posting of the colors by members of the American Legion Edward L. Grant Post 75, and remain standing for our national anthem sung by our Franklin High School chorus, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. Post the colors.
And salute. Two.
Let us bow our heads, uncover.
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, you have blessed us with brave men and women who are willing to defeat and defend our freedom. May your grace and your mercy surround them each and every day. Let your healing hand fall upon those who are sick and suffering and injured. May those who have made the ultimate sacrifice rest in peace forever. As it says in John 15:13, there's no greater love than this, to lay one's life down for his brother. Comfort the family as they mourn, and let us remember each and every day their lives, their loves of this nation. Help us to honor them this day and every day. Support them. Let us ever be mindful of each sacrifice made on behalf of the American people by our sons, daughters, husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, and friends. For God and country, and in Jesus' name, amen. Be seated.
Thank you all for joining us today. This day would not be possible without you, our veterans. Thank you for your service. I wish to recognize our state and local officials who are with us today. Our state representative, Jeff Roy. Members of the town council, our featured speaker, let's hold our applause till the end. Our featured speaker, Navy veteran Ernest Carruthers, Commander Larry Badarian from VFW Post 3402, Commander John Milo from American Legion Post 75, Franklin Police Chief TJ Lynch, Franklin Fire Chief James McLaughlin. We're also expecting Representative Sean Dooley and Senator Roush, and hopefully it looks like our town administrator has just arrived too, Jamie Helen. And I also believe Franklin DPW Director and Army veteran, Brutus Canareggi, will be here today as well. Thank you to Chaplain Bob Marcunas for leading our invocation, and to Marine veteran and Purple Heart recipient, Richard Douglas, for leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's give them a round of applause. As you entered the dining area, you may have noticed a table on the stage, raised to call your attention to its purpose. It is reserved to honor our missing comrades in arms. I'd like to invite Navy veteran Dick Hines up to the podium to tell you more about the items on the table and their very special meaning. And while he's coming up, I'll just give you a little background about Dick. He serves as the Senior Vice Commander for American Legion Post 75 in Franklin. He's a longtime member of Hobart Corporation's management team with a career spanning more than 52 years. He currently directs their consultant services group in addition to being Director of Healthcare and Military Services for the company. Dick also presently serves the Hennessy Travelers Association as its president, working with the Air Force, Marine Corps, and Navy to help improve their food service programs. He presently serves on the National Restaurant Association's Education Foundation's Military Committee. Dick's love for the food service industry and our nation's military in particular is obvious. Dick holds a degree from Dean College. He is a Navy veteran who served as a Navy corpsman during the Vietnam War. During that time, he met a beautiful Navy nurse whom he married 57 years ago. Wave your hand, Judy. Dick and Judy have 3 children and 4 grandsons, one who served in the Army in Afghanistan, and 4 great-grandchildren. Longtime residents of Franklin, they love their town and are dedicated to serving its military veterans. We are grateful Dick is here today to tell you about the special meaning of this table.
Thank you, Shannon. And good morning to you. As Shannon mentioned, this table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action from all wars. They may not be with us today. The empty chair symbolizes our timeless wait for their return. Let us remember the men and women, prisoners of war from all branches of service that are too often forgotten. The small table is set for one, representing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. The table is round, showing our everlasting concern for our POWs and MIAs. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call of arms. The single rose, signifying the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose reminding us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep the faith while waiting their return. The yellow ribbon stands for the yellow ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demanded with unyielding determination a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us today. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of the bitter fate of those missing, captured, and held as prisoners in foreign lands. A pinch of salt, denoting the tears of our missing and the families that wait for answers. The Holy Bible represents the strength gained through faith in our country, founded as one nation, under God, to sustain those lost from our midst. The lighted candle reflects the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate the way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. The glass is inverted, their inability to share this morning's toast. I ask you now to raise your water glass, if you would be so kind. Raise your glasses and toast America's POWs and MIAs. Thank you. Always remember them.
Thank you, Dick. This morning, we also remember the 45 Franklin servicemen who died during our nation's wars. They are forever honored on our Veterans Memorial Walkway. When you have a chance, visit the walkway. It's beautiful and profound. And read the plaques. The youngest hero is Franklin Lynch, age 17. The oldest is Jules Perrette, age 36. The average age of our fallen heroes is 24. This morning, we also remember the 53 Franklin veterans who left us this past year. The names of our departed heroes are on the honor roll you received when you came in. Please stand and bow your head for a moment of silent remembrance of our departed brothers and sisters in arms. Please be seated. Breakfast is now ready. I ask everyone to remain seated and let our wonderful volunteers come and serve you. Thank you, Brady Devlin, for playing taps for us. You may have noticed some special items on your tables today. Some of you have an American flag to take home with you as a memento of our fallen heroes. There are also some beautiful bookmarks created by veteran spouse Kathy Lessica and her team of crafters. The bookmarks say home of the free because of the brave, and we honor the brave today. Of our dear departed veterans on the honor roll, 5 served in World War II, 19 served in Korea, 14 served in Vietnam, 2 served during the Gulf War period, and 13 served during peacetime. There were 26 Army veterans, including 1 from the Army Air Forces, 14 from the Navy, 6 from the Air Force, and 7 from the Marines. You will also see the poppies donated by the American Legion. Thank you for bringing those today. As most of you probably know, in 1915, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, a brigade surgeon from the Canadian military, spotted a cluster of poppies shortly following the Second Battle of Ypres. This inspired him to write the famous poem In Flanders Field to immortalize the fallen soldiers buried underneath the hardy poppies. Since then, poppies have become the symbol of our fallen heroes and of Memorial Day, so we never forget them. Last but not least, after we've all had breakfast and our speakers have come up and we conclude things, before you leave today, take a look up on the stage. There's a wonderful display provided by Phyllis Malcolm and the Franklin Historical Society, which there's boards that list the name of our Franklin veterans from almost every conflict beginning with World War I. We have an alternate pictorial display to honor our World War II veterans. We are honored to have some speakers here today. First, we have our state representative, Jeff Roy, with us. He has been a steadfast supporter of our veterans and the Franklin community. Representative Roy was first elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives for the 10th Norfolk District in 2012 and represents the residents of Franklin and Medway. He was re-elected in 2014, 2016, 2018, and 2020. In 2021, he was appointed chairperson of the Joint Committee on Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy. He was honored to be chosen as the 2019 Legislator of the Year by the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys. Roy maintains his law practice in Franklin, Roy Law, which he started in 2013. He specializes in product liability cases, automobile accidents, construction accidents, and other work-related injuries. Roy has represented clients at all levels of trial and appellate courts in Massachusetts. Before his run for state office, he held a number of municipal positions in the town of Franklin, including serving on the town council and as chair of the town's master plan committee. Prior to that, he served on the school committee and served as its chairperson for 9 of his 10 years of service with that board. Currently, he serves on the board of incorporators for the Hockomock Area YMCA and the Milford Regional Medical Center. Roy is a 1986 cum laude graduate of Boston College Law School, and he received his undergraduate degree from Bates College in Lewiston, Maine in 1983. He has been married to his wife, Maureen, for 33 years and is the proud father of 3 children. He is an avid cyclist and a 19-year veteran rider in the annual Pan Mass Challenge event, which raises money for the Jimmy Fund. And last but definitely not least, he is also a guitar player and member of the band Ben Gardner's Boat. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rep. Roy up to the stage.
Well, I don't want to stand in way of a lovely breakfast, so enjoy it. Chairman Mercer and members of the Franklin Town Council, Veterans Agent Shannon Nisbet, and distinguished veterans, members of veterans service organizations, and guests, I'm really honored to be here this morning. Memorial Day is one of remembrance and reflection on the knowledge that our freedom in America is attached to great sacrifice. We gather to thank our military heroes who answered the call of duty, served in harm's way for the sake of our country, and paid the ultimate price so that we could be free. I want to share some thoughts on a monument in Washington, D.C., which honors the fallen. And ever since the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was unveiled in Washington, D.C. in 1982, it has been one of our nation's most powerful and moving tributes to personal sacrifice and national loss. And it's no secret to me that the panels behind us show 6 panels of veterans of the Vietnam War from Franklin. Now, that wall offers a time of remembrance and reflection on our military heroes who answered the call. And many Americans, including several here today, answered the call of duty on battlefields of Vietnam. And today, it's time to extend tributes of thanks and share collective memories of these troops, to reflect on their valor of the fallen and the bond of freedoms that unite Americans. It's also an opportunity to assure that these brave men and women, your family members, your neighbors, co-workers, and many more, will not be forgotten and may remain forever in our hearts. To all of them on this hallowed day, we extend our deepest respect and gratitude. And I'm grateful for your presence here today, where we continue to uphold Abraham Lincoln's words regarding America's obligation to repay our debt to those who died in service to our country. He said, "It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we have highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain." There are more than 58,000 names on that wall, including more than 1,537 Massachusetts soldiers. The names on that wall pay silent tribute to thousands of men and women from communities like ours who went to a distant war in Southeast Asia and never returned. They didn't go to fight against the North Vietnamese. They went to fight for America, to defend American ideals and preserve American freedoms. They fought to preserve communities like this one, and they fought to save lives of their friends. When I was growing up, just down the road in Milford, I have vivid memories of receiving the news that the young man who lived across the street had been killed in Vietnam on August 18, 1968. He was a friend of my 2 uncles, and there clearly was a void. I was 7 years old, and I can still remember the sorrow expressed at the dinner table discussions. I recall the sullen looks in the faces all around. And I recall the emptiness of my neighbor's house. But we were all proud of what he and others did for us. His name is on panel W48, and when I'm in D.C., I touch his name grateful for that freedom he secured for us even more. Standing there today, you may be thinking of your grandfather, your father, your brother, your child, your wife, your sister, or other loved ones in uniform who served courageously in Vietnam or some other conflict. Don't ever forget them. We are here today to honor Americans' veterans, those who died and those who lived to carry on that tradition of service in the cities, small towns, and rural communities that they and their fallen comrades fought to preserve. Here today in Franklin, we honor America's veterans, living and dead, and extend thanks of a grateful nation. We must pledge to never forget our veterans, not just today, but every day. Take pause frequently to thank them for their service, and it's fitting that your presence here today speaks to what President John F. Kennedy once said. A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers. Thank you for being here to honor our patriots. May God bless them, and may God bless you, and may God bless the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Representative Roy. We have a slight change to our program. I'm going to invite Senator Rebecca Roush up to the podium. I don't have her bio to introduce her today, but she's going to share some words with you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am very pleased to be able to join you this morning. We did not know until yesterday, actually, that I would be able to be here because the Senate has been debating the budget all week, and I'm pleased to report that we passed a $50 billion budget yesterday. So that was a really tremendous accomplishment with multiple provisions to support our veterans, our folks currently in service, and members of our law enforcement, public safety crews and teams all throughout the Commonwealth. So I was very proud and honored to vote yes on that budget and on multiple amendments to support people in service, and also to be able to be here this morning, which was a really pleasant surprise. It is a true honor to be here and a true privilege to serve as your state senator. And I want to offer thanks to everyone who contributed to organizing this event, for bringing us together to remember the fallen. As we gather to mourn our fallen soldiers, sailors, airmen, National Guardsmen, and officers, we are reminded of the legacy of war, the deep wounds it etches on our families and communities, and the unconscionable grief that this loss brings to the families of those whose lives were lost, to our service people returning from that service, and to each and every one of us. Memorial Day always makes me think about my grandfather, Walter. I called him Opie. He survived a Nazi concentration camp. He eventually made it to this country, and soon after arriving, he enlisted. And he went straight back to his hometown in Germany to fight in World War II against Hitler and the Third Reich. To me, Memorial Day is a solemn reminder of my grandfather's silent suffering in so many ways, as a survivor and as a fighter. War and genocide leave no one unscathed. Each year, on this solemn occasion, I return to the same question: how do we truly honor the people who gave their lives in service to freedom? We hold their names and their faces in our heads and hearts. We remember their strength and their tenacity. We remember the gift of their presence, their love, and their vital roles in our families and communities. We recommit to working for peace in our community, in our Commonwealth, and beyond, to keep our people alive, to join us at our kitchen tables, our weddings and baby showers, our children's birthdays and graduations, and their weddings and baby showers in turn. And we uplift their fellow service people, those currently on active duty and those who have returned home with the burdens of battle forever in their memories. On this matter, please know that we in the Senate have been delivering. This session alone, we passed long-term care reform for veterans at our homes in Holyoke and Chelsea, including $400 million in bond funding. My colleagues and I in the Senate also passed the SPEED Act to help military families relocating to Massachusetts get acclimated more efficiently, particularly with employment and educational opportunities. And we've committed more than $100 million to a wide spectrum of veteran services. Friends, this has been a heavy week for all of us. 19 children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, whose lives were ripped away. Coming out of this awful tragedy and honoring the solemnity of this day, this weekend, let us all double down on our efforts to end violence and foster unity. To all the veterans and folks in active service here, thank you for your dedicated service. To the families of the fallen, on behalf of a grateful Commonwealth, thank you for your and their sacrifice. I am sorry for your loss, and I hope this day and the events on Monday will serve as a reminder that the sacrifice was not in vain. And to everyone here, thank you for gathering to pay respects and honor the memories of the fallen. I wish you all a meaningful and peaceful Memorial Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Roush. We are honored to have our featured guest speaker with us today who has done so much to serve our country and community, Gulf War veteran Ernest Carruthers. Ernest enlisted in the United States Navy in the spring of 2003, where he spent a year in the delayed entry program before shipping off to the Navy's only boot camp at Recruit Training Center, Great Lakes, Illinois. Upon completion of basic training, Ernest went to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, for his initial A school, where he learned the basics of law enforcement, anti-terrorism, and force protection. Upon successful completion of Master at Arms A School, he was assigned to his first duty station at Mobile Security Squadron 6, Detachment 26, which fell under Naval Coastal Warfare Group 2 and the soon-to-be-created Navy Expeditionary Command. During his time at Detachment 26, Ernest served primarily on the boat teams and got to spend many nice days and nights and an equal amount of cold and nasty days and evenings on the Elizabeth River and Chesapeake Bay, training to escort high-value assets through congested waterways and choke points. In September 2005, his unit reported to Port Hueneme, California, where they joined over 425 other sailors to create the first Navy Provisional Detainee Battalion. After a few days of processing, they were all shipped to Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, where they began training in detainee operations, land navigation, building searches, convoy training, etc. After a short visit home around Christmas, Ernest arrived in Kuwait in early January 2006 for additional training. A few weeks later, he arrived at Fort Susay in the Kurdish region of Iraq by way of FOB Warrior in Kirkuk. Ernest returned to Norfolk, Virginia on September 27, 2006, 3 days after his second wedding anniversary, the second one that he missed due to this deployment. Ernest had a few other missions while assigned to Detachment 26. In New Orleans, his unit was tasked with providing pier and waterside security for the commissioning of the USS New Orleans, an amphibious transport dock ship. His unit was also deployed aboard the USNS Comfort, a floating hospital and surgical center, to provide security on a several months long humanitarian mission to Central and South America. On August 4th, 2007, at 0 degrees latitude, Ernest and his fellow polywogs were initiated in a time-honored tradition and became trusty shellbacks. And if you don't know what that means, it would make a great conversation piece with Ernest after the breakfast. Following his time at Detachment 26, Ernest transferred to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine, where he served as the shipyard police department and where he served at the shipyard police department in a variety of roles, including section leading petty officer, installation traffic officer, and department supply officer. It was while stationed in Maine that Ernest and his wife, Christine, had their 2 children, Scott and Annabelle. After his tour at the shipyard, Ernest traveled to Naval Support Activity, Naples, Italy, where he completed his time. He separated from the Navy and moved to Franklin to begin school at Suffolk University. In 2015, he graduated from the university's Sawyer Business School with a bachelor's degree in accounting, and in 2016 followed that up with a master's degree in tax. In 2017, he became a licensed CPA, and he currently works for a regional CPA firm specializing in tax issues, planning, and compliance. In 2014, Ernest joined the Franklin VFW and became the quartermaster at the next election, a position he's held since. Ernest has also served as the district commander, and he earned All-American District Commander honors in 2021 during his final year in that role. He is also involved with the state and national VFW, serving as Assistant State Quartermaster, Homeless Veterans Committee Chair, and National Deputy Chief of Staff. He is a member of the Franklin Elks, the Mansfield American Legion, AMVETS, and Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. He serves on the board of O'Connell Valor Fund and participates in the Franklin Veterans Council. And on top of that, he's our parade vice chair this year. Ernest and his family have made Franklin their home since 2012. In his spare time, when he manages to find it, he likes to camp and fish, particularly in Maine on the north side of Moosehead Lake. During the summer, he and his family travel back to Wells, Maine, where they lived while stationed at the shipyard for day trips to the beach. Ernest, thank you for your service, and we're honored to have you here today. Please come up.
Thank you. Thank you. Comrades, good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we gather on this beautiful Friday morning to kick off our observances of Memorial Day, a solemn day where we remember our fallen brothers and sisters who gave everything they had for this country. To the Gold Star families in the room, thank you. We honor you and your loved one, and we remember them, not just this weekend, but every day. Every day I drive by the town common and see our beautiful walkway with its granite pedestals honoring each of our fallen since World War I. Every day I drive over the Lance Corporal Shane Cabino Bridge. Every day I drive up Pond Street towards Medway and see the sign honoring Lance Corporal Lawrence Garin. Every day I drive past countless other locations here in town. I look up, see a street sign to say that a hero grew up nearby. A hero who went off to fight for our country and didn't come home. Shannon, thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. I truly appreciate it and consider it a great honor. I'd like to thank the Franklin High Chorus. Awesome job this morning. And the Tri-County Culinary Team. Breakfast is delicious. We appreciate you being here to help make this day special. When I was first asked to speak this morning, I hesitated because while I was honored, this is way outside my comfort zone. I didn't know if I could come up with enough material to speak for 15 or 20 minutes and not put everyone to sleep. So I began to look up some quotes to get some inspiration. Quotes such as, "This is the day we pay homage to all those who didn't come home. This is not Veterans Day. It's not a celebration. It's a day of solemn contemplation over the cost of freedom." Or President Kennedy's, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Maybe Sergeant Major Bill Paxton said it best when he simply said, "May we never forget our fallen comrades. Freedom isn't free." Or the very true statement by Sir Winston Churchill, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." But I kept coming back to former Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm's quote from about a decade ago. She said, "Ceremonies are important, but our gratitude has to be more than visits to the troops, once-a-year Memorial Day ceremonies. We honor the dead best by treating the living well." It's very similar to one of the VFW's slogans, to honor the dead by helping the living. And to me, this is what Memorial Day is all about, honoring and remembering our fallen and taking care of those who are still with us. And that's where we are today. We gather again. Due to the pandemic, this is the first time since 2019, but otherwise this is an annual tradition. We'll gather again on Monday morning to march in the parade or to observe it from our favorite vantage point. Many of us will gather once more Monday at noontime at the war memorials for our annual Memorial Day ceremony. That's great, and it's very important that we honor our fallen on Monday. But what are we doing the other 364 days of the year to remember the sacrifice of our comrades and honor their service? There are many ways we can remember our fallen comrades and help the living throughout the year. We can lobby our legislators to pass legislation that will enhance the lives of our veterans. We can learn about the history of those from our town who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And we can share with the next generation the values we want them to have and teach them about the importance of Memorial Day, to teach them what Memorial Day really is. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago this weekend, I was outside of Liquor World. I was handing out poppies and collecting money for the VFW's Veteran Relief Fund. I saw this gentleman walking up to me, and he had a Purple Heart hat on. We get to talking. He tells me about his service, how he served in Vietnam, and after several minutes of going back and forth with him, I asked him if he was a VFW member, and if not, if he would like to join our post here in Franklin. And he lit into me. He told me how he was treated when he came home from the war. He told me how the citizens treated him, but how other veterans treated him as well. And it was terrible. He said to me, "You didn't want me 45 years ago, you're not getting me now." Of course, my first thought was 45 years ago, my parents were about 10 years old, I wasn't even a thought. But I said to him, "The way you were treated back then, it's not right. It's not right now, it wasn't right then, and I'm sorry you were treated that way. And I understand your objections to joining, but no, you're always welcome if you decide to give us another try." I mention that because I want to thank our Vietnam veterans, just like I thanked that man 5 or 6 years ago. They were treated terribly when they returned home, but they got together and they worked to ensure no future generation of veterans would be treated the way they were. The Vietnam Veterans of America motto is never again will one generation of veterans abandon another. I served in Iraq in 2006. It wasn't a terribly popular war here at home. It's nothing compared to Vietnam, but nonetheless, a lot of our fellow citizens didn't think we belonged in Iraq. But when I came home, I didn't have to worry about being spit on or attacked because of those who went before me. They lived that motto. They made sure no future generation of veterans would experience what they did. Thank you. So often, the politicians down in Washington, D.C. will send us to faraway countries, task us with an objective, and then when that objective is met, they bring us home. We'll go down to the VA, we'll seek help for our injuries and our diseases suffered from our service. Sometimes we luck out when we have the proper documentation and we get taken care of, but often we're left to fight for the benefits we were promised. I believe the phrase I've heard is denied till they die. Deny the claims. Deny the studies linking these diseases to the toxins used during war. Deny, deny, deny. deny the benefits to help us cope and heal from what we were put through on behalf of our country, our citizens, and our government. Over 58,000 Americans gave their lives in Vietnam, 6 of them from right here in Franklin. Yet many more are still suffering the effects of that war today. Agent Orange was used by our government without a second thought on what it would do to a person. Many diseases that our Vietnam veterans suffer from are presumed to be from Agent Orange exposure, and that entitles these veterans to services and benefits from the VA. But for the longest time, our government repeatedly denied benefits to a specific group of veterans, the Blue Water Navy veterans of the Vietnam War. The thought was that these veterans served on a ship miles off the coast, and our government said they weren't significantly exposed to Agent Orange. It wasn't until 2019, yes, 3 years ago, Congress finally got its act together and passed the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act, which extended benefits to those who were stationed on ships but suffering the same symptoms as those who were boots on the ground. Unfortunately, that relief came far too late for many who had suffered while fighting. It took far too long for the government to provide those benefits, but we learned our lessons. Many of those veteran groups who fought for benefits for the Blue Water Navy veterans have turned their attention to burn pits. And now we have the Honoring Our Pact Act pending in Congress. This bill would establish presumptive service connection and provide much-needed benefits to veterans who develop conditions from burn pit exposure and the toxins they emit. Nearly every base in Iraq and Afghanistan had a burn pit where all sorts of trash and other debris and materials were disposed of. Our soldiers slept and ate in close proximity to these burn pits and breathed this air in on a daily basis, contaminated air. Now, these veterans are developing all sorts of respiratory problems and cancers. And once again, we're fighting for benefits because some of our leaders claim the price tag might be too high. Some of our elected leaders don't seem to understand the cost of war doesn't end when the last bombs drop. It doesn't end when the last bullets stop flying. And it doesn't end when our troops come home. The cost of war lasts years and decades after the war ends. As an example, and it's not completely the same, but did you guys know Tuesday, May 31st, marks 2 years since the last Civil War pension recipient died? 155 years after the Civil War ended, the government finally paid its final Civil War pension payment. I mean, decades, the cost of war. So this weekend, as part of the Rolling to Remember events in Washington, D.C., a coalition of veteran organizations, the VFW, the American Legion, AMVETS, the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, the Vietnam Veterans of America, the Wounded Warrior Project, and many others are being joined by Jon Stewart to rally Congress to pass the Honoring Our Pact Act. This bill has passed the House of Representatives, but it's stuck in the Senate. We owe it to those who have gone before us to take care of those who remain. Burn pits are illegal in the United States, but we had no problem employing them at our bases throughout the Middle East. We made a decision back then to utilize them, and now we must take care of those who are suffering because of them. We owe it to those who suffer. We owe it to those who laid down their life for our country. We have to honor the dead by helping the living. Our town has a great history. Many of our residents have answered the call, and as we know, we've lost many of our residents to war. But how many of our residents know some of the stories of these people? How many of our residents know that one of our elementary schools is named for one of our fallen from World War II? Gerald Parmenter was killed when the aircraft he was piloting crashed in July of 1944. What about the street right outside the senior center? Do people in our town know it's not Oak Street? It's actually Daniel McCahill Street. Daniel McCahill was a Franklin resident killed at Guadalcanal in November of 1942. Going back to World War I, Franklin native Eddie Grant had graduated with a law degree from Harvard, and he played third base in Major League Baseball. He played for the Phillies, the New York Giants, now the San Francisco Giants, and the Reds, before he paused his baseball career to go fight in World War I. How many of our townsfolk have heard of Eddie Grant? How many of our townspeople know that the American Legion post in town is named in his honor? More recently, we have the Lance Corporal Shane Cabino Bridge on 140 past Grove Street. We have the Staff Sergeant Robert Pirelli Veterans Skating Arena on Panther Way. Both Cabino and Pirelli were killed in Operation Iraqi Freedom. We have a lot of places in town named after our fallen heroes, and it's a great opportunity to learn about who these men were and what they did. We can keep their memories and histories alive by learning. As I was working on this speech, I was thinking about my own experiences around Memorial Day growing up. I remember many years we'd go to cookouts at my aunt's house. My uncle had his birthday May 29th, my cousin was May 31st. I might have that backwards, I'm not really sure. But a lot of Memorial Day weekends we were, up there for cookouts, gathering for birthdays. Occasionally, my mom would take us to a Memorial Day ceremony growing up in Walpole, but it wasn't something I remember doing as a kid every single year. As I grew older and came into my own, I started attending these events more. I tried going to college out of high school. It wasn't for me at the time. I was working at McDonald's in Walpole, and twice a day, every day, like clockwork, a group of World War II vets would come in, they'd grab their senior coffees, and they'd shoot the breeze for an hour or so. Interacting with these gentlemen and hearing their stories gave me a greater appreciation for them, for their service, and for days such as Memorial Day. It's important to my wife and I that we try to instill these values in our kids from a young age. Our son Scott is now a 7th grader at Horace Mann, and our daughter Annabelle is a 5th grader at Kennedy. They'll be with me after the parade at the ceremony on the town common, just as they have in many prior years. They've helped me replace flags at our cemeteries with their scouting groups, where I taught them to say the veteran's name as they place a new flag at their resting place. It's been said that you die twice, once when you die, but again at some point in the future when your name is no longer spoken. I may not know anything about those who have gone before us and those whose final resting places we were laying flags, but I will say their names and keep them alive, and I try to teach my kids to do the same. In the last 8 months, our kids have been with my wife and I twice as we've gathered with other citizens to show our support to the families of 2 of our fallen. As a family, we were in Lawrence on September 11th when Marine Sergeant Johanny Rosario came home for the final time. A little over 6 months later, April 2nd of this year, we again gathered with strangers on the streets of Leominster to show the family of Marine Captain Ross Reynolds that we honor their son and husband's sacrifice and that we care. We're planning a family trip to Washington, D.C. next month, and naturally, visiting Arlington National Cemetery is on our agenda. As a family, we also do more enjoyable things together to show our respect and gratitude for our older veterans. A few times a year, we wake up real early before the sun comes up. We leave Franklin and we drive to Logan Airport. We're not going anywhere, though. What we're doing is we're gathering with other people who support veterans. We're gathering with VFW members, Legion members, members from AMVETS, scouts from the Boston area, and so many others, so that we can send that day's honor flight off with the gratitude and appreciation they deserve. If you're not familiar with Honor Flight, it's a program that brings our World War II and Korean War veterans to Washington, D.C. for the day at no cost. These veterans are then driven around to the memorials that reflect their service, and they're also allowed to go visit Arlington National Cemetery. Again, this is at no cost to the veteran, and it's a wonderful program. It's amazing to see their faces light up as they're coming down the hallway with all these people there to cheer them on and wish them a safe trip. So I've talked a lot about what Memorial Day is to me and how myself and my family try to honor our fallen by the way we help and care for our living. Memorial Day is not just a once-a-year thing for us. We think often about those who gave their lives, and we think about what we can do in their honor. I encourage you to enjoy your weekend this weekend, enjoy time with your family, but remember the purpose of the weekend. But don't do it just this weekend. Pay attention to all the little things around us that remind us of those who gave everything for our nation. And throughout the year, think what little thing can we do to help those still with us so that we can honor those who have gone before us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for speaking to us today and for all that you do for our veterans and our community. Memorial Day would not be complete without our parade and ceremony at the town common. Due to COVID-19, the parade was canceled in 2020 and 2021. This year, we had to find new parade coordinators, and the American Legion and VFW accepted the torch without hesitation. These groups have been working diligently to make the parade and ceremony special this year, and I would like to recognize members of the committee. For those who are here today, as I call your name, please stand and hold your applause till the end. John Milo, Herman Anderson, John Heffley, Dave Labonte, Jerry Brady, Frank Coughlin, Chaplain Bob Marcunis, Bruce and Eileen Watkins, Tom Sullivan, Chuck Bailey, Joe Collins, Police Lieutenant Eric Zimmerman, Ernest Carruthers, who's our parade vice chair, and parade chair Dick Hines. And last but not least, our Grand Marshal, Bob Catalano. Thank you all so much. I'd like to welcome Dick back up to the stage to tell you a little bit more about the parade, and then I'll have some announcements before we close the breakfast.
Thank you, Shannon. It has been an effort of love between Ernest and I and the rest of our committee to be sure that we put on a good parade for the town this year. Most of the guidelines that we received were really old and not very effective. So we're kind of going from scratch. But we believe we have a nice parade for you. There were 5 bands involved, a number of military units. Our wonderful Grand Marshal. And if you don't know Mr. Bob Catalano, you should make an effort to do it, because this is a one fine gentleman and a World War II veteran. Bob, thank you for agreeing to do this for us. And if you go to his house, he'll give you a cream puff. Actually, it's a pretty good deal. So the parade route will be the same as it's been in the past. We stop at Dean College and acknowledge the Veterans Memorial there. The Rifle Squad will provide a salute. There will be an invocation given by clergy. The same we will then march to Union Street, where the same ceremony will take place. We then go to St. Mary's Cemetery and do the same thing. And then finally, the parade will come up the main drag there in front of the St. Mary's Church, where we will have a wonderful ceremony for you all. So we hope you can make it. We hope the town turns out to support this. And God bless you all. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Dick. So I have a few announcements. The May brick installation at the Veterans Memorial Walkway is completed. Now we are taking orders for the next installation that will be around Veterans Day. We will be continuing with monument restoration this summer and fall. For this project, we rely on a combination of town funds, grant funds, as well as group and individual donations. We're very excited. The Elks Club is going to be holding a dinner dance fundraiser on August 6th from 6 to 10 p.m. So if you're interested in finding out more about this event or supporting monument restoration in general, just give us a call at Veteran Services. We will have our monthly coffee social next week, Wednesday, June 1st at 10 a.m. Our Veterans Council is back on schedule again and will be on Thursday, June 16th at 7 p.m. Also, for all those veterans out there, don't forget we have our Tune It Out guitar class every Tuesday afternoon from 5:30 to 6:30. We have currently 14 participants and 4 instructors. No music background is required, so you can come and join and check it out anytime. I want to thank everyone who participated in our program this morning. Thank you to our guest speakers, officials, and town staff for being here today. Your support is very important to the veterans and families in Franklin. Thank you to our honor guard today for providing our ceremonial details and being so reliable and fantastic. We are so proud of our Franklin High School chorus members, Amal Alkalaf, Lexi Carlucci, Katie Cook, Cassidy Kofsky, Margaret Deal, Brendan Driscoll, Nea Joseph, Heidi Keithon, Lillian Kerr, Diuthi Papineni, Ryan Paluccia, Lucia Perkins, Cameron Perry, Jack Picorni, Mia Quinn, Unique Ramos, Jordan Sawtell, Irina Seliger, Jake Swenson, and last but not least, our bugler, Franklin High School student Brady Devlin. Their presence here today was arranged by Franklin High School Choir Director Stephanie Beatrice and Band Director Leanne Rudsit. I want to send a huge shout out to Tri-County students Landon Kaplan, Logan Kaziski, Kayla Morales, Jess Morrissey, Matt Parslow, Sam Potts, Dira Roca, Leo Roque, Andrew Walsh, Dylan Nelson, Dylan Jacobson, and Culinary Director Nancy Haney for our fantastic breakfast this morning. I want to thank the staff at the Senior Center, especially Danielle Hopkins, Christina LaRose, Ann Scungio, Mary Hines, and Ariel Doggett for their assistance throughout the year. Thank you so much to our facilities department and staff member Rich Sinibaldi, who always takes such great care in supporting our events, and also to Starbucks manager Keith Duhamel and crew for catering the coffee today, and as well as our coffee socials. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to send a big shout out to our volunteers today who have been working very hard, not only today, but yesterday afternoon setting up. Phyllis Malcolm, Gloria Gelino, Patty Wiley, Mary Coughlin, Jan Jewett, Sue Lynch, Judy Wilson, Martha Brewer, and Diane Cleaves, and Pat Donnelly. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you to the Open Art Studio for our table centerpieces, and thank you to the Friends of the Franklin Elders for sponsoring our breakfast. Thank you so much to Chris Flynn and Chris Leverone from Franklin TV for their comprehensive coverage of all of our veterans events and helping with sound and a lot of things that I don't have to worry about. Thank you. I want to thank my coworker, Veterans Services Assistant Deborah Martin, for her lead role in planning this breakfast today. She's a tremendous asset to our Franklin veterans, and I feel so privileged to work with her. Most importantly, I want to thank you for joining us this morning to remember our fallen brothers and sisters in arms. May those who continue to serve in harm's way be well protected, and may they return home safely. As the color guard removes the colors, the choir will lead us in singing, God Bless America. Thank you for being here today. Color guard, retrieve the colors.
And salute.
We invite you all to join us in singing God Bless America.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.